Today I'm going to squeeze in 2 lessons. I have so many lessons. I run an agency, and that's what this is about, agency lessons from the trenches. So there's always things happening. I probably could do this once a day and have 2 lessons at least. But today we're going to let's talk about learning about your industry or your niche, what your vertical is, learning everything about whatever you're focused on in terms of your target audience, your target clients, your target customers, how that kind of evolves over time. And I got actually 2 very, what would we say, stark differences in 2 examples here. So, when you go into a niche, first of all, so I'm going to first use the vertical that we're going into, insurance. Okay, so we made this decision. I made this decision actually with one of my partners in crime that we're going to go after insurance agencies or the insurance industry, because that could lead to all kinds of things. And it might not just be building websites for them. It could be doing marketing, probably, helping them with lead generation. We could do a lot of things in this example. And we've started that process. We're starting to go and look for that business, right? But when I'm first doing this, now the reason I'm doing this is because I have a decade experience as an insurance agent myself, not only as an agent, but running agencies. So I have that background, but I built one insurance site. I built it. Yeah. The whole thing. But it was for an agency partner, so I can't really use that or leverage that for anything. I can't show anybody that. It's kind of like a white label situation. So I have that kind of a little bit of experience, but not the full out design to development and stuff either. That was actually just development. Anyway, but I'm going into this like from scratch. I don't have a portfolio. I don't really have a lot to speak to. But that's okay. So that is what it is. My team understands that. Even my marketing team, like, you know what, we're going into this. It's going to be work. We're going to have to try this marketing technique or, go after people, do this outbound outreach kind of situation. And then, try all these different things from just emailing to contacting or trying social media, trying to get their attention that way. Might be advertising, might be SEO. It might take time. This might be a 6-month, year endeavor just to get a few under our belts. And that's our goal. I'm like, we don't have a big goal this year. 3 would be good. If we could get 2 or 3 under our belts this year, that's a huge win. And then we can leverage that. And that's the key here, is leveraging that. Right? Once you get it's hard to get those first couple, but once you do, it gets easier and easier because now you can show those examples and you can speak to it. We did, when you are on that call, that discovery call or whatever, or just trying to get the business, that first intro call or whatever, you can speak to other things you've done that's similar, and that scales up. We did that with the maintenance, because we can talk about maintenance all day long now because we have had maintenance contracts for a couple of years in place for different clients, in all those aspects of things that we're doing. And the other thing, the other example I have today is a situation where that is already established. And this is, we have an agency partner where a lot of their business is manufacturing. They actually already have established for years and years, decades, these manufacturing contracts to help manufacturers with their websites or the marketing or whatever. And so yesterday, I actually, as a partner, went with them to this manufacturing facility, and we got a tour of the plant. I had a hard hat on. It was a lot of fun, right? I got to, see this operation, and then we get to talk about their website and the sale of their products and stuff like that. But it's a situation where this agency is established. So they're able to, in those conversations, talk about, oh, we did this for that person or that company, or this is similar to that. In those conversations, we can really drive home. We all bring our experience. In this case, I'm bringing back-end experience, talking databases and APIs and integrations and e-commerce stores and shipping and all that'll all work. That's what I bring to the table in those discussions. But I can still speak to that, right? Because I've done e-commerce for other manufacturers, but also other types of e-commerce stores and stuff. So, but you gain that experience over time. And in that situation, when we're in that room, we're the authorities, and we can really drive home our authority via these stories we can tell around stuff we've already done. But it's not going to start that way. If you're just starting out, you're going to have to claw and fight your way into that realm. So you got to have patience, and you got to have tenacity, and just really a lot of drive to get those first under your belt. Even when I started my agency, I'm in the 5th year, but getting those first few projects under my belt, or those first couple agencies, it took time to get those. But every time I would get a new agency relationship, I could leverage that in my next conversation with the next agency and be like, we're doing this for them. We figured this out for them, so it's very cool. So that's that lesson. Really, the lesson there is, you're going to, starting out, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, but don't give up. Give it time. Just do everything you can, come at it from different angles, like we're doing with insurance. We're going to try different things. We're going to just keep experimenting and doing this and doing that. And I got a number of different ways I'm going to attack and try to get this market's attention, and then get a few under our belts. So that's that lesson. But then once it gets going, though, it gets easier. It always gets easier, especially if you can tell those stories and you get that experience under your belt. You can share that in that next meeting when you're talking to somebody. And eventually, like I was in that meeting yesterday on site, in a conference room, around a table of people, I'm that web developer sitting there, and I have total confidence. I'm not nervous at all because I've done all of this before in different scenarios, and I know my craft. You'll get there too. The next lesson, cut to here. I don't know what I'm doing. The next lesson is the importance of communication between teams, especially, again, when starting out a new initiative, and you're just starting something. Maybe your two teams are working together. They've never really worked together in the capacity that you're doing now. I have a situation like that. This is actually a different kind of company. They're more of a digital marketing, promotion-driven company. And we, over the last, I think it's been probably about 4 months now, but we've had this relationship with the company for a couple of years, well over 2 years. But we always just did development, front end mainly. In this case, different scenarios were different things. So for the front end gurus in this case, but we've been working with them. But 4 months ago, they decided they have this new initiative within their company where they want to start outsourcing the design as well. So they're leaning on my agency to help them do that. So to work on their branding, their overall branding for their different landing pages and promotions and all this stuff, so it's consistent and it looks like, their landing page when somebody goes there, be like, that's their landing page. But we're doing that, but it's a huge ordeal because they're set in their ways. They've been around for a long time, more than a decade, 15 years, doing what they're doing. And they're very set in their ways and how they've always operated. And now we're set in our ways too, as an agency. We got to do things in a certain way to be efficient. So there's not these, what I call ripple effects, where suddenly we're having issues here and it's affecting our other clients or relationships because we're spending so much time over here fixing things. So I have to make sure everything runs smoothly. But we had a situation where things were going pretty well. We're kind of figuring it out. In the beginning, I'm more involved, And I'm starting to bring my team in to fill different roles. So eventually I can kind of sit back and just kind of be high level management, or when there's a fire or something, I come and put it out. But we'll get there. But it's taken this, first of all, figuring out the process. They're figuring out, and the company's figuring out their processes, and then creating that documentation around it, and all of this stuff, putting all this stuff in place. So everything was going well until this past week or so, we sort of fell apart because I got a message one day, like, they were following up, their copywriter was following up with us to, like, where's the landing page or whatever, we're designing and developing it at the same time. And I'm like, we're waiting for you. We're waiting for the content. We don't have the content for these sections. And then it was like, then I had to explain like how we're actually onboarding these projects, because we got a list of like 15 things. We're looking at it as a project. So we're doing all of that at once. We're not going to just, do a couple things and send that to you or whatever. It was this whole thing. Right. And at some point in the middle of this, I said, you know what? This is great. I said, this is really great, because what I do in those circumstances, I communicate. I'm like, and I'm trying to analyze. I'm like, this is what we're doing wrong here, or this is what we, don't worry, we'll figure this out. And I'm noting everything as we go, and really studying what is that problem? What problem are we having? Defining it, and then we will figure out how to address it, and through documentation, processes, training, whatever. Reorganizing the team, bringing somebody else in, whatever we have to do to solve that problem. But my point, and in my, my message to them is, this is great, because we're communicating. They were communicating with us, and we're communicating with them. And at the end, we delivered it. We got it. They were super happy. They were happy that we stuck with it and and got through it and finally delivered what they needed. So everyone's happy still. You're going to have those moments in any agency, in any business, where things are chaotic and things go wrong and sideways. But at the end of the day, if everything gets delivered, everyone sticks with it, everyone's happy, because, we didn't bail on them. But at the end, I then took the time to apologize. Sorry, that didn't go, smoothly. And then and he apologized to me. He's like, same thing. He's like, it was a little chaotic, a little messy. And, but he appreciated that communication, and that we'll continue to work on this. And I learned on their end, because of that communication back and forth, and what we're communicating to them in terms of how we're structured, and how things need to happen in order to make, because one of the reasons they're doing this is so they can scale up what they're doing. They want to outsource things so they can do more. And there's reasons behind that. But in that process, like I said, they're kind of stuck in their ways. They've been doing things a certain way, and they're updating what they're doing. We, even on the development side, we're actually doing new things to make sure that the flow, because in our situation, the flow of everything from the requirements to the design to that gets to the developer and that gets delivered, and then sometimes that comes back, and how does things not getting overwritten or broken or whatever in the process, all that has to be figured out. But that all happens through that communication, and also understanding that it isn't going to be perfect at first. Every relationship I've started with an agency or even a client, it's figuring that out. In the beginning, we might have to dive in and just start doing things, but over time, as long as you iterate on that and you do retrospectives, go back and really look at what just happened and how can we solve this part. You start solving these different parts until suddenly the whole system, all the processes, the team and everybody, both teams, all teams are working seamlessly together, and we just get it, and then everything's beautiful and nothing ever will go wrong again. It still will, but that's the name of the game, Anyway, so that's the other lesson. And this one is just the importance of communication especially when it's a new relationship, a new initiative, something new that you're doing in your business or with a partner. Understanding that it will take time. There's going to be a onboarding process for this new situation, and it's not always going to be clean. It's not going to just snap into place. Sometimes, especially with two different companies, like my agency, their company, do things in very different ways. It's going to take time to figure out how we're going to snap together. But once you do, it'll be a beautiful thing, right? All right. Hope you found these 2 lessons interesting and insightful. Till next time, take care.